So I have a concern with one of our responsibilities for SB 35 and housing and the mandated developments. So the concern has to do with one of the provisions of SB 35 stating that based upon your requirements and your allowances, we could well have our decisional authority taken away from us. So with respect to the Valco specific site, we were looking at, I believe the density is 35 dwelling units per acre. And so that translates to something like roughly 50 acres, around 2,400 dwelling units. We also have 600,000 square feet of retail that's been allocated. But the real concern is the 2 million square feet of office. Because within SB 35, there is a provision that states that if you have a ratio of housing to commercial, and commercial includes retail as well as office, of 2 to 1, then there is a possibility that these allowances will occur automatically. So if you add up the 2 million and the 600,000, that's 2.6 million square feet of commercial. And then if you're creating a 2 to 1 ratio, that means that you're doubling that amount just for the housing. So that's 5.2 million square feet. Adding it together, that's 7.8 million square feet. That's almost 4 million square feet that could potentially be subjected to an automatic, no kind of approval mechanism, building permission. So that I think everyone would agree is not something that we want to relinquish control over. That's twice the number of square feet as the Measure D plan. So I would propose that we put this on the agenda because this is going to take effect. The law is going to take effect in January. And I would propose that we put ourselves back into the position that we were in prior to SB 35 being enacted with respect to the office space. And the position we were in previously is that it was subjected to approval of a specific plan. And so if we're no longer, in full control or in any control, and if that bears itself out, then we will have to act very quickly in order to, address this allocation. The reason that if we take it back, the 2 million square feet back, that we'll be in the same position that we were in previously is that an office allocation can still be put forward in a specific plan. It's just that we would then have the right to approve it, just like we did prior to SB 35. And so time is a bit of the essence. I hope I can get a second person to, support putting this on an agenda prior to the end of the year. But time is of the essence with respect to, if we don't act quickly enough, then we're going to, potentially relinquish this right. And I know that we're acting in parallel with the analysis of SB 35 that the city attorney's office has been asked to prepare. My concern is simply that analysis may actually come out after the time when it's too late for us to act with respect to this office allocation. So if we can, I'd like to find a second person to support placing this as an agenda item before the end of the year in front of council.
I would support that, and I know there's wide community support for removing that allocation. So, I would support putting it on the agenda.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I think it can come in parallel with analysis of SB 35 to see if, in fact, that is a correct assessment.
And I guess I'd just like to, we talked about this at the end of the last council meeting, but, Valco's not the only project that may be subjected to SB 35. So I'd just like to ask staff to redouble efforts to bring an analysis to us. And if there's, frankly, anything else we ought to be looking at, I would be interested. And then the question is, right, is there anything in the bill that would prohibit us from taking action before this bill takes effect on January 1st? That would be an interesting question. What does the timeline look like? And I think these are cogent questions to be asking.
Yeah, so we,
generally, right, for the whole city.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So we'll bring you back a report at the 21st. I think that's probably as quick as we can get it done. We can certainly cover those issues that Vice
You mean
Mayor.
the 21st of November?
Yes.
So that,
That's the
Before
next
the,
meeting.
before the meeting
Before
of the
the study
28th,
session?
before
Yeah.
the study session.
Yeah,
Okay.
and,
I mean,
and it'll
and
focus
I'm-
on things that we can reasonably foreseeably do before the end of the
if,
year.
you know, if we have to understand before we act, I'm okay with, I'm personally okay with special meetings or extra meetings or whatever it takes, because I think we do
Yeah,
have
if we're going to
to
do something, most likely
protect
we're
our-
going to
our-
be in
our hand,
in
right?
special meeting territory, just because.
Okay.
But my concern is, if we act rush, then we may get accused that we are doing something
Right.
goofy.
So
You know,
hence,
so we
hence we
just
got to go
rush
in with
it
our
out.
eyes
Yeah, and
open.
I'm not saying that we're going to bring you a proposal that you to vote on to actually enact something on the
No,
21st.
I think that the community outreach is very important. You really need to reach to the community, make sure that they got it. Otherwise, they will come back and then accuse us, you guys did it purposely.
I think
Rush it
preserving our negotiation rights is, in general, right, would be helpful to us.
Right, I agree,
We
but
want local control.
I agree, but then, knowing this community, whatever you do, if you don't give enough time for the outreach, they will come back and then attacking you again, accusing you not doing enough outreach.
Comes
So,
with the territory, man.
Yeah, I mean, for this, I think it would ultimately be a win-win-win, because I haven't heard a single person say we want 8 million square feet of Alco, which is twice as high and dense as the Measure D plan. And this action, if we take it, could potentially save us from being forced to have to take that plan without having an approval process or a CEQA process. So, I mean, I'm just looking at this as a preemptive issue, and I did have a discussion with our Director of Community Development earlier today, and in RT, she was of the opinion that, because this has to do with office allocation, and SB 35 really is about housing and affordable housing, there's going to be less of an intense scrutiny on it than if we were talking about, for instance, reducing the dwelling unit per acre density, for residential. So, I mean, this is strictly to protect us from having to be forced to accept something that is, possibly twice as high as Measure D. And so I don't see us getting pushback. If we get pushback from the community, I think there's a very, very good response. It's, we're trying to protect our rights. We're trying to protect our ability to go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, based on what I know, whatever we do, you get blamed. You don't do, you get blamed. You do it too fast, you get blamed. You do it too slow, you get blamed.
Well, if people blame, then go ahead and blame me, and I'll
you
take
did not
the
went through
hits.
what I went through it. Okay, they will make up the story attacking you and attacking you. Last year, as I was the mayor, I got recalled with all this making up story. I mean, this is the community. This is the group of the people. We have to watch, make sure that we don't get into the same trap, that they will come back and then attacking us. I only have a year and 2 months to go, and then if you guys do it, if you don't do it right, maybe one of you will get recalled.
Barry, if they're not attacking you, you're doing something wrong, because they, you have to have a thick skin, because someone will always not like what you're doing.
I have a thick skin, and I got it out accomplished. I'm proud of what I'm doing, so I'm not afraid of it. But knowing this community, enough time of the outreach is very important. I would say, do it right instead of do it rush. So that's what my concern.
We have a council member suggestion and a second suggestion, so it's for staff to agendize it timely fashion.
Thank you.
And of course, we still need to see the report on the 21st as well as the study session on the 28th, and those are also very important. If there's nothing else, Vice Mayor, I'll ask other. Okay, on this side, Councilmember Singhs.